Hello everyone, welcome to the Sex Show, where... It's me, your host, Core.
And it's me, Nikko, your savior.
I'm Josh.
We're going to be talking about Safe Sex Day, and more importantly, abstinence, but we'll get to that later.
First, we need to understand what sex actually is. We'll give you the rundown.
Otherwise known as sexual intercourse, is sexual activity usually involving the insertion and thrusting of the penis into the vagina for sexual pleasure, reproduction, or both. This is also known as vaginal intercourse or vaginal sex.
If the sperm ejaculated by the man meets with the egg produced by the woman, the egg will become fertilized and develop into a fetus.
Now, sex is a pretty big deal, and it's important to understand the potential consequences of sex and how to practice sex safely. After all, unwanted pregnancies and STDs can be a real headache.
But we're here to educate you on both reproductive systems. Talk about a 2-for-1 package.
The male reproductive system consists of the penis, used for hardening and penetration.
Alright, the two testes, which produce sperm, which is the male gamete, and testosterone, which is the primarily male sex hormone. The scrotum, which contains the testes outside of the body and regulates their temperature.
The epididymis, which is a coiled tube that measures about 20 feet in length each. That's the length of 20 rulers. One epididymis rests on each testicle, collecting sperm from it and giving them a safe environment.
There's also the urethra, which is part of both the urinary tract and the reproductive system. It's where urine leaves the body, but it's also where sperm goes through when it's ejaculated.
And finally, the seminal vesicles and prostate. These secrete fluids that assist in the nourishment and protection of sperm. The fluid from the seminal vesicles makes up the highest percentage of the contents of semen.
As you can probably tell from the different components, the male reproductive system is optimized to mass produce and protect sperm, as well as nourish it and protect it as it travels to the egg. Now, let's take a look at what goes on in the female reproductive system. Now it's time to learn about the female reproductive system. First, we have the vulva, which is the collective name for the external parts of the female reproductive system.
The vagina is part of the birth canal. This is where sperm is deposited and the penis is inserted during intercourse. The vagina is also where babies pop out of.
There are fallopian tubes, where eggs travel in once they leave the ovary. Fertilization takes place here if the sperm get to it.
And finally, we got the ovaries that produce and release eggs for the sperm to fertilize.
Ovarian cycle is a cycle in which eggs are released, while the menstrual cycle is a cycle in which the uterus lining is shed and rebuilt.
They occur simultaneously over about 28 days. It goes in this order.
Alright, so starting with menstruation or the period, the endometrium uterus lining is shed, the levels of estrogen and progesterone are low.
During the follicular phase, estrogen rises and the egg is prepared for release. Around this time, things are driven by FSH, LH, and follicles.
At the proliferative phase, the uterus lining begins to build up again.
Alright, so during ovulation, the egg is released from the ovary at about the middle of the cycle.
Now for the luteal phase. During this time of potential pregnancy, the main follicle turns into a corpus luteum, which supports the pregnancy through hormones.
In conclusion, the female reproductive system is about creating a safe and healthy environment to house the eggs that it produces.
Now that we learned about both reproductive systems, we should learn about some of the consequences or potential risks for sex. For that, we've brought in the prestigious Mr. Chad.
Hey, what's up? My name's Chad. I'm the CEO of Sex. You might find yourself wondering about what an STI or an STD is. Yeah, we're here to teach you.
The ST in both of these terms stands for sexually transmitted, and the D or I stands for disease or infection, respectively. This means that they are disease that can be caught when having sex, especially the unprotected variety.
Although the two terms used to have different meanings to convey a different severity, they now have become interchangeable. It's important to learn about STDs so you can learn and understand the consequences of sex, and understand that safe sex is valuable accordingly.
To give you an example of STD, let's talk about syphilis. Syphilis, spread by the bacteria Treponema pallidum, is an STD that can have some serious consequences if you catch it.
Syphilis has three major stages. There's primary syphilis, secondary syphilis, and tertiary syphilis. The further it develops, the worse the symptoms get.
In the first stage, syphilis starts as a small, painless sore called a chancre sore. It appears wherever you first caught the disease.
As it reaches the second stage, more sores will appear in various mucosal glands in the body, such as the eyes. Rashes will appear on the skin as well.
If syphilis reaches the tertiary stage, it can infect vital organs like the heart or brain and possibly be fatal.
Don't worry about syphilis though. Syphilis can be cured if caught early. One injection of penicillin can cure syphilis if you catch that canker sore in the primary stage.
Another STD that is far more deadly is known as HIV or AIDS.
Starting out as HIV, this is a virus that kills T cells, cells that are vital to your immune system. Once your T cells drop below a certain number, the HIV becomes AIDS.
AIDS is transmitted through the contact of blood, meaning it is not limited to sexual transmission. It can also be spread by unsafe blood transfusions or the sharing of medical syringe needles.
Sadly, there are almost 40 million infected and no known cure. However, recent breakthroughs have allowed for treatments that can allow an infected person to live long and healthily with the virus.
Now that we know about the risks, let's learn about some of the ways we can protect ourselves.
And who better to tell us about this than Mr. Obama himself? That's right, guys, we got Obama for an interview.
Would that not be?
Hello, Joshua, Nikolai, and Cornelius. It is a great honor to be on the sex show with such esteemed scholars.
The honor is ours, Obama.
Yes,
God
Obama.
bless America.
God bless America.
Obama, our research says one method of birth control is withdrawal. Can you expand on this?
Withdrawal, also known as pulling out, means removing the penis from the vagina before ejaculation. This can be an effective way for preventing pregnancy, if you can do it correctly. However, this is very hard for most men. About 22% of couples who use withdrawal end up with a pregnancy. Those aren't very good odds.
But Mr. Obama, if pulling out is the only form of protection you're using, do you have any protection from STDs or STIs?
Very good question, young Cornelius. Pulling out alone offers absolutely no protection from STDs and STIs. Fluids are in contact, meaning this is only protection from unexpected pregnancy, and both partners are vulnerable to sexually transmitted infections.
Alright, Mr. Obama, what's another form of birth control we should know about?
Another method, known as a barrier method, can be used for preventing both unexpected pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections. The most common barrier method is known as a condom, a stretchy cover for the penis that literally provides a barrier between the two partners, eliminating direct contact.
Obama, what is the effectiveness of condoms?
The effectiveness of condoms, when used correctly, is about 98%. However, when considering human error, condoms are only about 85% effective, so make sure you follow the instructions correctly. But what if I told you that there is a 100% effective birth control method that costs $0 and eliminates all risk of STDs and pregnancy?
Obama, what is this amazing method?
Well, young ones, that method is abstinence, complete restraint from sexual activity. If you never have sex, you never take the risk. It also allows you to follow in the way of the Lord. After all, it is illegal to take part in premarital eye contact. Well, that's all the time I've got. It's time for me to go. Remember kids, stay safe, don't have sex, and make America great again.
Wow, what an amazing interview with Obama. Incredible. Absolutely phenomenal.
So that's about the end of the episode. It wouldn't be possible without our sponsors and viewers like you.
Magic.
Today's sponsor is Amaze.com, the incredible website where you can get short and concise videos about anything related to sex, and is a great resource for teens. They have topics ranging from sexuality, safe sex, and more.
She's like a Christian.
Thanks for watching, guys, and remember, stay abstinent.